Hi zoo fans, my name is Mike and I'm one of the reptile keepers here at the Virginia Zoo. Thanks for joining us today for Creature Feature Friday. We have some fun questions from the 5th graders at Coaston Elementary School about our Caiman lizards. As you can see, one of the Caiman lizards is down here in the corner of the tank right now. First question is, what is its scientific name? So the scientific name for this is Dracaena guinensis. And fun fact about that is Dracaena is actually Greek for female dragon. What group is it classified in? What are they related to? And specifically, how closely are they related to chameleons? So these guys are in what's known as the Teiidae family of lizards. So they're related to tegus and some smaller lizards with really long tails, like whiptails and race runners. So even though they have some really pretty colors you can see here, they're not really that closely related to chameleons other than the fact that they're both lizards. What colors are they? If you can see here, they have a greenish olive green body and a vibrant red head. And the tail here is mostly yellow with some black stripes on it. Why is its face red? That's really just part of their natural coloration. It doesn't really serve any unique purpose for them. The males of this species usually do have more vibrantly red heads. Does it change colors? No, these guys are pretty much just color all the time. They spend a lot of time in the water, so if they're in really sunny areas, they may get some algae on their backs, and that might make them a little darker, but they're usually this color all the time. Where in the world does it live? These guys are from northern South America, so they're from Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. What habitat do they live in? So these guys live in slow-moving rivers. They mostly spend their time laying on low-hanging branches over water when they're basking in the sunlight or they're sleeping. And this actually allows them to drop into the water really quickly if there's a predator nearby or if they're feeling threatened. What type of defenses do they have? So in addition to just dropping into the water, on their backs they have these hard pointed scales that are really good at protecting them. And they have really long flat tails that help them swim really quickly in the water. They're actually called Caiman lizards because of their resemblance to Caiman crocodiles, which has a lot to do with the scales that are on their backs and their tails. These guys can also actually whip their tails pretty hard if there's something that's threatening them. How fast can they run? So they're not very quick runners. They're much more able to get away from a predator if they're in the water, because they're much better at swimming than they are running. Do they drop their tails when threatened? No, usually lizards that drop their tails, they do so because it helps them to escape predators. These Caiman lizards don't need to drop their tails to get away. They're really good at just swimming away. What do they eat? So these guys eat snails and crayfish and clams and sometimes really small turtles. They've got really strong jaws that help them to crush all these animals that have really hard shells. And they also have a third clear eyelid that covers their eye when they're underwater, helps them see underwater, and we call that a nictitating membrane. What eats them? So these guys are usually preyed on by jaguars, large snakes, and actually caiman too, caiman crocodiles. So it's kind of ironic given their name. Are they poisonous or venomous? No, they're not poisonous or venomous. They just use a really strong bite to help get the prey that they need to eat. What is the status of the wild population? So these guys are considered to be least concerned. They're not too endangered right now. In the past, they used to be hunted a lot for their skin, because it's got that unique scale quality to it. But in the 1970s, a lot of protections were introduced that have helped to really protect them and keep their numbers up. The populations are decreasing in some areas, mostly due to pollution and deforestation, kind of impacts their habitat that they can live in. And sometimes they're still hunted for meat. How long do they live for? So these guys live about 10 years, usually 8 to 12 years is kind of the range for them. The two that we have here are about 1 year and 9 months old right now, so they're still young. How many offspring can they have at a time? So females for this species usually lay about 5 to 7 eggs. They'll lay that on the banks of the rivers where they're living, and it takes about 6 months for their eggs to hatch. How long can they get? Females get about 4 feet long, and males get about 5 feet long. So I don't know if you can see here, this one here is about 3 feet, so it's still growing a little bit, has a little bit more size to gain. What are the bumps for near its eyes? Really the bumps on these guys are just protective scales on their face. Their whole body has these hard scales that really keep them safe. Helps them when they're swimming in the water, if they're like jumping off a branch into the water to get away from a predator, make sure that they don't get injured upon impact with the water. Do they have ears? Yes, these guys do have ears. All lizards have ears. These guys actually have a pretty obvious ear hole that's behind their eye. It's just a dark hole inside their head, about an inch behind their eye. Do they have a forked tongue? Yep, these guys do have forked tongues, kind of like snakes do. It just helps them to smell their prey that they're looking for, helps them find their food. And can you have it as a pet? These guys, they don't really make great pets. They need a lot of room to move around. They're very specialized feeders, and it's not easy for most people to find the foods that these guys need to eat. And just because of the way they eat, the way they're crushing all those prey items that they eat, it makes a really messy situation in their water, and they need a whole lot of filtration to help keep that water clean enough for them. Thanks again for joining me on Creature Feature Friday. The newly renovated World of Reptiles and Friends building will be open to the public on Monday, June 4th, so we'll be featuring reptiles all month long. We'll see you next Friday when we talk about our mangrove snake. Thanks.